Happy Thursday, everyone. We got a cool work set coming your way. It's going to be a good time. But before we get that, let's talk about our warm-up. Our warm-up is going to be a lot of prep work, getting our wrists ready, shoulders ready, working on some positions. So let's kickstart that off with some wrist curl, wrist extension, and rotation. So we have 5 to 10 reps each and per side. So we'll go through those movements. You can do that with a very light load, like 1 to 5, maybe 7.5 pounds, but we're keeping it light. So that could be like a can of soup, it could be a light dumbbell. If you have plates laying around, you could use that, but we're keeping it light. So please keep this in mind. We don't need heavy loads for this. We don't even need loads at all as well. So I've done these exercises without any weights, just moving the wrists around for range of motion. You can get a great wrist pump going on and get some great benefits from just doing it without any loading. So keep that in mind as well. From there, we're going to move into a table wrist extension for 3 to 5, table wrist lift for 3 to 5, and then we're going to go for that for 1 to 2 rounds. So it's up to you. If you hit one and you're like, yeah, I'm feeling good. If you want to go for a second one, it's not going to be bad. It's going to give you those hands a good chance to get a nice prep phase for this work set. After that, we're going to move into a plank to down dog for 3 to 5 reps, quad plank at 20 seconds, and a forearm plank to dolphin for 3. One round of that, that's just kind of an in-between phase to get that lat and shoulder kind of figured out a little bit, get some heat going, and then we're going to move into a piece that's going to get a little bit more heat going. Plank lean for 6 to 10 alternating reps, floor pike hold for 10 to 20 seconds. This is also a handstand variation that you can use in the workout, depending on what you have access to at home. From there, we have a prone shoulder raise of 6 to 10 alternating reps, and we're going to hit that for 2 rounds, getting those shoulders, getting those positions heated up well. So we're going to have some time working on some handstand skill and prep in that piece. After that, you're going to do a couple rounds or just a round of handstand practice, and that handstand is going to be kind of figuring out what you're going to use and do in the workout. So what we want to think about is a movement that we can do for at least 30 to 45 seconds. So we want to make sure that we can either kick up, hold that handstand minimum 30 to 45 seconds consistently and consecutively. So please, 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 I'm all down on challenging yourself, but just because of the style of workout today, I don't want you to kick up into a handstand if you can only hold the handstand for 5 to 10 seconds, because that means there's going to be a ton of work at the end of the round for you working through this. So pick that variation that's going to help build volume in your handstand. From there, we're going to move right into the workout. And the workout today is 3 rounds. Handstand hold, 3 minutes. At the end of the round, you are going to do 5 squat thrusts for every break you took in that 3-minute handstand. So if you break 3 times, you got 15 squat thrusts at the end of the handstand before you move into the next round. So we have 3 rounds of that. We're going to be spending 9 minutes in a handstand or handstand variation. So we want to make sure that we're kind of playing with that, picking an option that's going to be happy on the wrists, the wrist and shoulders, and making sure that we're happy with our choice, that we're challenged, but we also have a chance to further our handstand abilities. So I'm looking forward to this one, you guys. I love these work sets. It's all about quality here and all about maintaining good position. So let's get you warmed up. Let's get you prepped. We'll have some fun. All right. Let's get those feet under those hips. We'll take the arms up big and tall, keeping those arms nice and straight. Let's shrug those shoulders. We'll come down with the arms. Scratch your back with both hands. I'm going to reach through the elbow and down. Reach and down. Reach and down. Reach down. 2 more. Reach and down. And reach and down. Big stretch. Nice little shrug. Come back down with those arms. A little reach. And a little reach. Yeah. Good. Move forward, fold, touching those toes. Lock up those shins. Nice flat back. We'll come down, frame our foot. Step into our lizard. We're just going to take that inside hand up. Big stretch. And rotate forearm to the floor. Good. Big stretch up. And rotate. And big stretch up. And rotate. Good. Come back up, big stretch. Plant the hand. back into our down dog. Nice opportunity just to wake up the shoulders a little bit. Walk your heels out a bit as well. We did some skipping or jumping yesterday. So it's always nice to breathe some life into those feet. We'll come back into our plank. Step the other foot up. Nice and square in those hips. Inside hand reaches. We'll rotate. Forearm on the floor. We'll come back up. Rotate. Come back up. And rotate. And come back up. We'll plant the hand. We'll step back into our down dog. Reaching those hips. We'll walk those heels out again. Nice and smooth. Nice and gentle. And come back into your plank. Tiptoe those feet up. We'll roll ourselves up. Big stretch. Little reach. Little reach. Good. Come back down. Whew. All right, let's rock and roll, you guys. Let's get ourselves prepped and get those hands ready for some work. Our first phase of work today is going to consist of some floor work. So we're going to sit down and we're going to try and keep our body nice and tall. We're going to pull the knee up and we're going to get ourselves set up with a little coaster on our hand and we're going to get our arm out nice and straight. So our goal for these is not to start involving the bicep. Our goal is just to isolate the wrist. So what we're going to work on is we're going to work on a little wrist curl. So we're going to start off first palm face up. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to push the knuckles down towards the floor and then you're going to curl the knuckles up. Push the knuckles down, curl them up. Push them down, curl them up. So you're working on that nice curl through that wrist. And again, something you can think about if you don't have a dumbbell is working for range of motion. So trying to move slowly and effectively, working the best range you have. After that, we have our extension. So we have a nice long straight arm with our palm down. We're going to push our knuckles down again, and then this time we're going to pull the knuckles back towards the arm. And we're going to push down and then pull back. And this is going to give us a nice opportunity again to work the wrist in a slightly different direction. Last but not least, we work on our rotation. And this is the one we have to really pay attention to in terms of just keeping it to the forearm and below the elbow. So we are going to palm face up. We are going to turn the thumb in just to when we start feeling it in the elbow, and then we're going to pull the thumb back. So it's almost like we're opening up a door, turn, and turn in. And this is a really cool exercise to work on some rotation. You may find that you're quite limited in your range of motion there, and that's okay. It will slowly start to open up the more we do these exercises. You're going to do that both sides, 5 to 10 reps per exercise, just to get a really good set through those wrists. After that, you're going to flip into your tabletop, and we're going to get ourselves set up, wide fingers, hands under the shoulders, nice set through the shoulder position, and we are going to bring our toes together, sit back in our heels, chest is up, arms are straight, and we're going to pull our wrists and hands back, keeping the arms straight, and lower down. And I like to give myself little pauses in this movement, so I pull back, hold that end range for a couple seconds, and lower down. After that, we're going to come back into our table, and this is everyone's favorite, I know. We're going to lift the thumb, and then we're going to come up on that first knuckle as best we can, and then slowly control down, keeping the thumb up if we can, and keeping the arms straight. So we're not bending into the elbow, and we have to really focus on keeping those arms as straight as we can. Don't worry if you can't get your hand completely off the floor. I just want you to work to where your fingers and your knuckles will allow in terms of that range of motion. You might hear some pops and cracks, but take your time, move into that range, move into your edge, and just slowly start to wake up those hands. Quick little recap, we have our wrist curl, wrist extension, wrist rotation for 5 to 10 per side per exercise. And then we have our table wrist extension, 3 to 5, table wrist lift for 3 to 5, and you're gonna hit that for 1 to 2 rounds, whatever you feel as though your hands need, and anything else you feel your wrist needs as well. You can give yourself some little circles, little shakes, whatever you like. Pause the video, rock that. We're gonna come at you with our first phase of kind of smooth plank warm-ups. So after our hand prep and our wrist prep, we're gonna move into our plank to down dog. So I'm gonna get myself set up in that nice plank position, hands under the shoulders, and pulling my ribs in, setting up that good plank. I'm always pushing through those arms and shoulders, and I'm gonna pull my hips back into that nice down dog. My knees are soft, my hips are kind of high up in the air, and I'm gonna push through those arms as I come back into that plank. So I'm hitting that good position, and I'm gonna pull back again, maintaining that strong shoulder angle as my armpits point towards my toes or quads. Coming back into that plank, I'm actively pushing through the shoulders, and I'm actively pushing through my arms to maintain that nice strong structure. Now, if you have a hard time pulling those ribs in and setting that shoulder on the transition, just make sure we're setting that in between each rep, because over time it'll become easier to do it dynamically. But if we have trouble with it, that's okay. Just keep setting it, making sure we're maintaining it in between reps, and doing the best we can to hold on to that position. Our second exercise is our quad plank. So we're gonna get ourselves into our tabletop. Again, wide fingers, hands are just outside the shoulders. My toes are curled under, my knees are under my hips. I'm gonna set my shoulders, I'm gonna pull my sternum in, so my sternum and belly button come a little closer. And I'm gonna lift my knees about an inch as I try and pull my hands and toes together. So I'm maintaining this nice strong position, and I'm trying to create tension through the midsection by pulling my hands and feet together. They're not gonna move because the floor is connected to them, so they're just gonna kind of feel that tension. You'll feel a little differently than if we just trying to lift our knees up a bit. You're gonna feel more engagement through the midsection, through the shoulders, and through the lats. So keep that in mind as we're kind of playing with this. We always want to make sure that we're holding that strong shoulder position. So if you feel yourself disengage, just come out, rest a little bit, and then hit up another set or move on to the next exercise, one of the two. So bank that good time, feel that tension. It's going to help later on down the road in our handstands today. Our last exercise in this piece here is a forearm plank to dolphin. So very, very strenuous exercise in the triceps and the lats. Very similar to our plank to down dog, but we're more confined and compressed. So you're going to feel it differently, and you're going to have less range of motion in comparison to the plank to down dog. So first things first, we establish our good forearm plank. So our elbow is under our shoulder. I push through those arms. I step my feet back into my plank. I pull those ribs in, so I'm in that good forearm plank. I'm going to pull my hips up. I can walk my feet in a little bit, soften my knees as I pull those hips back, and I push my chest towards my thighs. My armpits are still facing towards my thighs and my toes, and I pull back into my plank. So again, if I need to, I can walk my feet in, pull my hips up, soften those knees, and I'm actively pressing my chest and armpits towards my thighs, coming back into that nice solid forearm plank as I push through those arms to make sure I'm stable through that upper back. Very, very stiff in that region. It's tough. It's a hard position, so just take it to where you feel comfortable. You're going to feel that through here quite heavily, probably a lot more than in your plank to down dog. So just kind of move into that edge, come out, and if you need to walk your feet in and out a little bit, you can. As a quick recap, we have a plank to down dog for 3 to 5, quad plank for 20 seconds, forearm plank to dolphin for 3. You'll hit that one time, and they're going to transition to our next phase, which is going to start moving through those shoulders and wrists a little bit more. Our next prep phase is going to consist of some plank leans. So I'm going to face the camera for this one. We establish that nice grip on the floor with the hands. The hands are going to be just outside the shoulders and under the shoulders. So I'm going to press through the shoulder, pull the ribs in, and then from here I'm going to initiate through my upper body as I shift my weight to one side, keeping the arms straight, and then come through, still pushing up through the shoulders as I shift to the other side. I come through, pushing through those shoulders, shift, keep pushing up through those shoulders, and shift. So it's very important that we're always pushing into the ground and pushing the floor away as we transition. It's very easy to let that shoulder sink as we're kind of shifting back and forth. We need to keep that nice and strong to keep that shoulder stable and active. All right? So keep gripping, keep pressing, and then shift as far as you feel comfortable back and forth for 6 to 10 reps. I like to have a little pause per side. You can even give yourself a pause in the plank just to make sure your shoulders are nice and active before moving over to the other side. After that, we have our floor pike hold. So we're going to come back into our tabletop. Same position of hands as our plank lean. My knees are going to come together and I'm going to curl my toes under. I'm pushing my shoulders a little bit up, pull my ribs in, and now I'm going to extend my knees as I straighten my legs, keeping my shoulders stacked over my hands, and keep pushing the floor away as I lose my neck in this position. I can walk my feet in a little bit if I need to, but mostly what I'm looking for is that good overhead position, my lats rolling around, supporting my body as I hold that overhead position the entire time. Now we want to make sure that we're active through the arms, through the shoulder, through the ribs, so that we can feel that engagement, because that is going to mimic that full handstand and the tension we need to maintain stability in our handstand. So it's a great, great movement in building that ability to maintain that vertical stack position and the engagement necessary to keep those shoulders happy and safe. So really bank that good time. You have 10 to 20 seconds. Make sure we're staying active, and if we feel those pieces kind of say, I'm getting tired, just come out. So we want to bank good solid time in that floor pike hold. Last but not least, we're going to move back onto the floor into our prone shoulder raise. So our toes come together, we press them into the ground, I squeeze my glutes a little bit, I pull my ribs and hips in, press my armpits down to the floor, and I press my hands into the ground. So I get that good tension from pinky to pinky. I'm going to maintain this tension as I lift an arm up off the floor to whatever height I can maintain that tension and that shoulder position. So we want to make sure that my shoulder position is the same as if I was in a down dog. So I want to make sure that that shoulder is nice and set and I have a neck. So as we lift the arm, we don't want the shoulder to roll out and have it kind of creep into my neck. I want to make sure that we're nice and set in that strong position as I lift the arm, maintaining that space. The arm may not come very high, all right? But I've seen some really good change in this position for the past little while, so keep building on that, keep working on it. It's really, really nice and a great way to strengthen that overhead position without having to load and or without having to be upside down or have any loading or planking involved. It's a great exercise to work position. As a quick recap, we have our plank lean of 6 to 10 back and forth, floor pike hold 10 to 20 seconds, prone shoulder raise for 6 to 10 alternating. We're going to hit that 2 rounds, working on that good strong position, and then we're going to practice our handstand. So pause the video, take that down, we're going to go over some handstand positions. Handstand practice time. Remembering, we're looking at a hold that's going to give us at least 30 to 45 seconds consistently throughout the work set. That's a minimum, all right? So we want to make sure that we're able to hold that 30 to 45 seconds minimum in terms of the choice that we make, okay? So lots of different options. I would like to give you guys some time to practice this, take some time to feel out a couple different options, all right, and see how that goes. I don't have a box handy today, so I'm going to use my bench today. So please make sure whatever you're planning on using, if you're putting your feet or knees on something, that it's stable and it's not going to tip over on you. So our options today for our handstand: wall-facing handstand, back-to-wall handstand, wall angle hold, so that nice kind of position 1, all right, or wherever you feel comfortable in that floor-to-wall position. If you're not comfortable against the wall, all right, we can work on something on a box or a bench. So we have 3 variations technically, but we have 2 stacked positions, one of which is a knee handstand on the box. So we get ourselves set up with our knees on the box or bench, heels close to your glutes. We come in with those arms, we push through the floor, and we hold that nice position. So we're stacking our shoulder over top of our hands, eyes looking slightly towards the box or the bench, and we're holding that nice tight position. The other variation from that, we can put our feet on the box or bench, just making sure that we're nice and stable here. So our feet nice and set, we walk ourselves in, Now, the difference between those two is going to come down to hamstring mobility. So if you can keep your legs straight, rock that nice stacked straight leg pike. If you're like, nope, my knees bend, I can't do it, my hips are behind, go from the knees so we can get that more stacked position, because we want to try and stack our hand, shoulder, and hip as best we can to get that nice vertical position. Okay, so that's what we want to decide and make that our deciding factor, all right, is whether or not those hips are as stacked over our shoulders as we can make them. Now we have one more variation that's elevated, and that's an elevated plank. So if you don't want to go inverted, we can work on some more pressure into the shoulder and hands with this elevated plank. So we get our feet on our apparatus, our legs are nice and straight. We get that nice active position through the ribs, through the shoulders. I'm going to maintain that good hollow, but my feet are just a little bit higher. And that's going to put a little bit more load into my upper body, but it's not going to put me inverted. So if you'd like to do that instead, that's totally legit. You can work through that and start loading and building that position. Now our floor positions, we have a couple for you. So we have our floor pike hold that you can play with. So like we did in the warm-up, knees come together, toes are curled under. We activate before we lift. We lift those hips up, stacking the hands, stacking the shoulders and the hips as best we can, and holding that position. We want to make sure that we're banking engaged time. So if you feel your shoulders start to say, we're done, come out of it. Rest, that's where you're done. We want to make sure that we're being honest with our body position and allowing ourselves to bank that good engaged time. Now our other variation is our plank hold. So we can work on that nice strong plank, building that position, building that upper body strength, but not worrying about being inverted. And we're going to hold that plank again, banking that engaged time. Now there's one more variation that we're going to talk about, and that's against the wall. It's called a wall plank. And I'm just going to demonstrate that for you guys, just if you'd like to play with this. It's a different option, and it's a little bit of fun. Very, very challenging. All right, so our wall plank is going to be kind of that wall angle hold. So a nice place and a nice way to measure this out is sit against the wall, legs nice and straight in that pike position, or that L position, and that's roughly where we're going to stand, is where my feet are. So I get about a leg distance away from the wall. I'm going to pull my ribs in. I get myself set up in this kind of wall plank position at this angle. I pull my ribs in, press my shoulders, and come up onto my toes. I'm going to walk my hands up into that nice arch, or that hollow position, as I maintain that good tension into the wall, into my core, and holding that engagement. So I can walk my feet out, I can get a different angle, I can get down a little bit more, but that's a nice place to live in terms of building that angle position, that hollow that we need for our handstand, but flipped upside down. So not hands on the floor, we use that wall to create that same shape and use kind of inverted in a different way, okay? So that's a cool option. It's going to give you a great opportunity to build that strength and the shape of the handstand, but not having to go upside down. So use this one if you like. Again, same rules apply. Bank the time as that you're engaged. If you feel yourself start to kind of disengage your core through your shoulders, just rest, bank that time, continue on. Now our last exercise we have to talk about is the squat thrust. So the squat thrust is that non-push-up burpee. So what we're going to do is we have two variations. We can hinge, lock our hands in, jump into our plank, jump our feet back in, a little hop, or we can step and hop, or a hybrid of those two things. You can jump back, step in, step back, jump in. We just want to make sure that we are setting that shoulder position and that shoulder to hand orientation stays the same the entire time, so that we're not losing that positioning of the shoulder over the hand as we jump or step our feet back, and likewise when we come back in. So basically waist up is isolated, the legs do the moving back and forth, and allows us to work on a nice strong structure so our legs can move well. So as a quick recap on how this workout goes, we have 3 rounds of work. 1 round consists of a 3-minute handstand. But there's a catch. At the end of your 3-minute handstand, you will do 5 squat thrusts for every break you take in that handstand, okay? So say you break 3 times to get that 3 minutes, you will do 15 squat thrusts. Likewise, if you do, 1 break, right? You'll do 5 squat thrusts. Then you'll move back into round 2 and do it all over again. Okay, so that's why we want to make sure that the handstand variation that we choose is something we can hit for some longer holds, because 3 minutes can be a long time if we're holding for 10 seconds at a time. Plus, it's going to be a lot of work on the end range of those rounds with those squat thrusts. So we want to make sure we're choosing that good option. If you have an option you want to practice to make better and then have a different option in our workout, please do so. So maybe you practice the floor pike hold on the floor to build strength there, but then you use the plank as your workout movement. That's totally fine. And likewise, you can do that with the bench, the wall, whatever you'd like to do. You can kind of play with that and see how it goes. But we have 3 rounds. Our goal of this workout is quality handstand building. So focus on that and make sure you come out of your handstand options, all right, before you have to come out. We want to enter and exit the same way, keeping ourselves safe and keeping ourselves moving efficiently. Have tons of fun with this one, you guys. I love handstands. I hope you guys enjoy. Pick that option. If you have any questions about handstand options or modifying that movement, please shoot me a message. I'll let you know. Besides that, have tons of fun. Work for quality. We'll see you tomorrow. Close out the work week with another fun little work set. Bye, you guys.